As an engineer, I have always been passionate about innovation and technology. I believe that the potential to create something revolutionary lies in every minute detail and every brilliant idea that emerges. That's how I felt when I developed an idea that could transform our industry. Months of hard work and dedication culminated in a concept that I was sure would change everything. I was so excited I couldn't wait to share it with someone. I chose to share the details with Jason Miller, a colleague I trusted and believed I could collaborate with to improve the project. Jason was always seen as a competent and respected professional in the company, and I honestly thought he could add value to my work. "Jason, I need to show you something amazing I'm working on," I said, with palpable excitement in my voice. He looked at me with genuine interest. "Of course, Lauren. What's this about?" I went on to explain all the details of my idea, from the conception to the possible applications and the benefits it could bring to the company. Jason listened attentively, asking pertinent questions and offering suggestions that, at the time, seemed constructive. "This is really groundbreaking, Lauren. I think you're onto something big here," he commented, making me feel even more confident about my project's potential. Over the next few days, Jason and I continued to discuss my idea. He seemed as excited as I was, and I was convinced that our collaboration would be fruitful. However, there was one small detail that escaped me, the blind trust one placed in him. A week later, there was a meeting with the company's executives. I was busy with other tasks and couldn't participate, but I didn't worry too much, as Jason and I were still in the preliminary discussion phase about the project. It was only the next day that I started to hear murmurs in the office corridors. "Did you hear about Jason's idea?" "Amazing, isn't it?" commented a colleague. "Yes, it looks like he has something that will really change the company," replied another. My heart raced. Something was wrong. When I finally managed to talk to Jason, I tried to remain calm. "Jason, I heard some things about yesterday's meeting." "What was it about?" I asked, hoping there was some misunderstanding. He looked at me with an expression I couldn't immediately decipher. "Ah, yes, Lauren. I presented your idea. I thought it would be best to bring it up for discussion as soon as possible." I felt a chill down my spine. "But, you said it was your idea?" Jason hesitated for a moment before responding. "Look, Lauren, the company needed something like this, and I thought it would be better if it came from someone with more experience. Trust me, you will be recognized for it." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My trust had been betrayed in such a blatant way. Jason had stolen my idea and presented it as his own. I felt a mixture of despair and anger, but I knew I needed to act cautiously. "Jason, this isn't right. This is my idea and you know it. I'll find a way to fix this," I stated, trying to maintain my composure. He just shrugged and left the room, leaving me alone with my thoughts. From that moment on, I was determined to get justice. I knew the battle would be difficult, but my integrity and recognition for my work were at stake. I wouldn't give up easily. To my amazement, it was as if the ground had been taken from beneath my feet. Jason Miller, the one I had trusted, stole my innovative idea and presented it as his own during a meeting with company executives. I felt a mixture of desolation and betrayal. I couldn't believe that someone I considered a colleague and, in some ways, a friend, could do something so low and unethical. At first, I was paralyzed. My mind was racing, trying to process what had happened. How did he have the courage to do this? And what would I do next? He had stolen something that was so precious to me, an idea that I had worked tirelessly on, night after night, with the hope of making a significant impact on our industry. "Lauren, are you okay?" asked Rachel, a colleague from the marketing department, when she saw me looking pale and distressed after the meeting. "No, Rachel. Jason stole my idea and presented it as his own. I don't know what to do." She opened her eyes wide in disbelief. "What? Seriously? This is terrible. We need to do something about this." Rachel had suffered from Jason's tactics in the past, and upon hearing my story, she was determined to help me. But first, I needed incontrovertible evidence to expose the truth. I knew that reporting Jason without concrete evidence could be disastrous for my career. I started going through my files, looking for emails, notes, anything that could prove that the idea was mine. It was hard and exhausting work, but my determination to do justice gave me strength. I remembered a series of emails I exchanged with Jason during the development of the idea, where I detailed each aspect of the project. "Carl, I need your help," I said to my IT teammate. "Jason stole my idea and presented it as his own. I need proof to expose him." Carl, always helpful, promptly began searching the company's electronic records. We were able to recover emails and documents that proved my authorship and Jason's dishonest actions. We even found records of conversations where he clearly manipulated data in previous projects. "Lauren, this is gold," said Carl, handing me a folder with all the evidence he had found. "With this, you will be able to unmask him." With the evidence in hand, I felt a flame of hope light up inside me. Rachel and I spent nights coming up with a meticulous plan. We decided that the company's annual conference would be the perfect time to showcase Jason. It would be a public revelation, in front of all executives and colleagues. On the day of the conference, the tension was palpable. Jason was beaming, confident that he would shine with his work. As he prepared to take the stage, Rachel and I went over all the proofs one more time, making sure everything was in order. "Are you ready for this?" asked Rachel, holding my hand. "I am." "I can't let him get away with it," I replied, with determination. Jason began his presentation, and his every word only increased my indignation. Finally, I couldn't wait any longer. I went up to the stage, interrupting him. "I'm sorry, Jason, but I can't let you continue the charade," he said, holding the microphone tightly. The room fell silent, and all eyes turned to me. "The idea you are presenting is not yours. It is mine." I displayed irrefutable evidence of his unethical behavior, including stealing my idea. Jason's humiliation in front of everyone was evident. I revealed not only the theft, but also his pattern of unethical behavior on previous projects. Their courage to expose the truth inspired other employees to speak out. At the climax of the revelation, one of the company's most influential executives stood up and admitted to having knowledge of Jason's unethical practices, but remained silent for personal reasons. "I knew, but I didn't do anything," he confessed, his voice shaking. It was a moment of catharsis. Jason lost his job and his reputation, while I finally received the recognition I deserved. I was promoted, and the company began a review of policies to protect the intellectual integrity of its employees. Justice prevailed. There I was, sitting at my desk, with a mixture of anger and determination boiling inside me. I couldn't believe that Jason had actually stolen my idea and presented it as his own. The betrayal was almost palpable, but I knew I needed to remain calm and focus on gathering the evidence needed to unmask him. I started reviewing all the emails and documents we had exchanged about the project. Every detail I found was a piece of the puzzle that I began to meticulously piece together. I clearly remember the first conversation where I mentioned the idea to Jason. I sent an enthusiastic email outlining how our new technology could transform the way we deal with big data. Jason's response was quick and full of praise, but now, as I reread his words, I see an underlying intention. He was gathering information, waiting for the right moment to take ownership of my idea. As the days went by, I delved deeper into researching Jason's history at the company. Talking discreetly with some colleagues, I discovered that he had a history of unethical behavior. One of my colleagues, Mark, confided in me that Jason had manipulated data on a previous project, which almost led to a major failure with an important client. "Lauren, you have to be careful," Mark warned. "Jason is smart. He knows how to cover his tracks." "Don't worry, Mark. I'll be careful," I replied, trying to hide the anxiety I felt. "But I won't let him get away with it this time." From there, I started looking for more evidence. I spent sleepless nights reviewing every document and email I could use to prove my authorship. In the company's old files, I found an early draft of my idea, dated weeks before Jason even mentioned anything similar. It was crucial proof I needed. One night, when I was already exhausted, I received a message from an unknown number. It was Rachel from the marketing department. She wanted to talk to me about Jason. "Hi, Lauren. I heard what happened to your idea," Rachel said, her voice low and worried. "It's not the first time Jason has done this. He stole a campaign from me last year." "Rachel, I can't believe it. Have you been through this too?" I was surprised and, at the same time, I felt a solidarity emerging between us. "Yes, and I know how much it hurts. I want to help you expose him. He needs to be stopped." Rachel and I spent hours exchanging information and putting the pieces of the puzzle together. She brought to light situations I was unaware of, showing that Jason had a clear pattern of unethical behavior. With her help, I gained access to conversation records and documents that proved his dishonest actions. "We have to be meticulous," Rachel said, "as we organize the tests. We need to make sure everything is irrefutable." "I agree. We can't leave any gaps for him to escape," I replied, feeling a surge of renewed determination. With each piece of evidence we encountered, my confidence grew. I knew the timing of the annual conference would be the perfect opportunity to expose Jason. He was excited, ready to shine with my work, but little did he know that I was setting the scene for his downfall. The days leading up to the conference were tense. Rachel and I checked and rechecked each test, making sure everything was in order. The anxiety was palpable, but we were determined to see justice done. "Lauren, we're ready," Rachel said the day before the conference. "Let's show everyone who the real author of this brilliant idea is." "Yes, we're ready," I replied, with a firm look. "And this time, Jason won't get away with it." I still clearly remember the day I decided I needed help unmasking Jason. Sitting at my desk, with a heavy heart and my head buzzing with thoughts, I finally got up the courage and went to look for Marcos, a colleague on the IT team. I knew that if anyone could help me find the evidence I needed, it was him. "Marcos, do you have a minute?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Of course, Lauren. What do you need?" he replied, with a friendly smile. I explained the situation in detail, from the moment I shared my innovative idea with Jason until I discovered that he presented it as his own. Marcos listened attentively, his face becoming more and more serious as I spoke. "This is unacceptable, Lauren. We need to do something about this. I'm going to help you get the evidence you need," he stated with conviction. With Marcos's help, we began searching the company's servers, looking for any email or document that could incriminate Jason. It took hours of painstaking work, but we finally found what we were looking for. There were emails exchanged between Jason and other colleagues where he clearly manipulated information and took credit for other people's ideas. We also found documents where he changed data from previous projects to benefit himself. "Look at this, Lauren," Marcos said, pointing to the computer screen. "Here is proof that Jason manipulated the data from Project X to make it look like he did more than he actually did." "That's perfect, Marcos. With this evidence, I can finally unmask him," I replied, feeling a wave of relief and determination. We continued to collect more evidence, including records of conversations where Jason made clear his disregard for the company's ethical rules. With each new discovery, my determination grew. I knew I had a real chance to expose the truth and regain recognition for my work. "Marcos, you really saved the day." "I don't know how to thank you," he said, feeling deep gratitude. "No need to thank me, Lauren. Just do it justice. It's what we all want," he replied, with an encouraging smile. With all the evidence in hand, I began planning the best way to expose Jason. I knew the company's annual conference would be the perfect time. During preparation, I found unexpected support in Rachel, a colleague in the marketing department. She had also been a victim of Jason's tactics in the past and was willing to help. "Lauren, I know exactly how you feel. Jason stole an idea from me 2 years ago and I never had the courage to stand up to him. But now, with you leading, I feel like we can do this," Rachel said, as we reviewed the evidence together. "Thanks, Rachel. Let's do this together." "He won't get away this time," I replied, feeling a new wave of confidence. On the day of the conference, the tension was palpable. Jason was confident, ready to shine with his work. As he prepared to take the stage, Rachel and I checked all of our proofs one last time, making sure everything was ready for the crucial moment. "We're ready, Lauren." "It's now or never," Rachel said, holding my hand firmly. "Come on, Rachel. Let's show everyone the truth," I replied, feeling the adrenaline rush through my veins. And so, with Marcos and Rachel by my side, I was ready to face Jason and expose the truth. I knew it would be a difficult time, but I was determined to get justice and get back what was rightfully mine. When coworker Jason Miller stole Lauren Adams' innovative idea and presented it as his own, Lauren was determined to get justice. Armed with incontrovertible proof, she waited until the company's annual conference, where Jason planned to shine with his work. At the same time, I found unexpected support in Rachel, a colleague in the marketing department who had also suffered from Jason's tactics in the past. I was in the cafeteria, mentally reviewing the next steps to expose Jason, when Rachel approached me. "Lauren, can I talk to you for a moment?" she asked, with a serious expression on her face. "Of course, Rachel. What happened?" I replied, a little surprised by the approach. She sat down next to me and began to tell her story. "You know, a few years ago, I was working on a revolutionary marketing campaign. Everything was going well until, suddenly, Jason came up with a new idea that was exactly like mine. He took all the credit and I was like with nothing. At the time, I didn't have enough evidence to confront him and I ended up letting it go. I was shocked and, at the same time, relieved that I wasn't alone in this battle. Rachel, I'm sorry you had to go through this. I'm also facing the same situation. Jason stole my idea and presented it as his own. But this time, I have proof." Rachel's eyes lit up with determination. "I knew there was something wrong with him. If you need help, I'm there. We can't let him keep doing this." I thanked Rachel for her support and we started working together. Rachel had a deep understanding of the company's dynamics and knew exactly how we could expose Jason effectively. She helped me organize all the evidence I had gathered, from emails exchanged to documents handled by Jason. "We need to be strategic," Rachel said, as we reviewed the records. "Let's wait until the annual conference. It will be the perfect time to unmask him in front of everyone." I nodded. "Yes, he will be unprepared and will have no way to defend himself. We need to make sure everything is prepared for that moment." We spent hours planning every detail. Rachel, with her experience in marketing, knew exactly how to structure the presentation of the evidence to make the biggest impact possible. We decided that I would come on stage during Jason's performance, interrupting him and revealing all of his lies. "Lauren, are you ready for this?" Rachel asked, with a worried expression. "Yes, I am," I replied firmly. "I can't let him get away with it again. And with your support, I know we can do it." In the days leading up to the conference, Rachel and I rehearsed several times. She helped me stay calm and confident, constantly reminding me that we were on the side of truth. I knew this would be a unique opportunity to expose Jason and regain the recognition he deserved. On the day of the conference, the tension was palpable. Jason was confident, ready to shine with his work. Rachel and I made sure all the evidence was organized and ready to be presented. "It's now or never," whispered Rachel, as Jason took the stage. I watched as he began his presentation, feeling the anger and determination building within me. When the moment was right, I got up and walked towards the stage. The room fell silent as I took the microphone. "Sorry to interrupt, Jason, but I think everyone here deserves to know the truth," I began, looking directly at him. Jason went pale, unable to hide his shock. "Lauren, what are you doing?" "I'm exposing the truth," I replied, displaying the emails and documents that proved his dishonest actions. "This idea is not yours. You stole it from me, just like you did with other colleagues in the past." The room fell silent, all eyes fixed on us. Rachel took the stage and gave me more evidence, reinforcing my accusations. Jason tried to defend himself, but the evidence was irrefutable. It was a moment of redemption and justice. With Rachel's support, I was able to unmask Jason and regain recognition for my work. Rachel's courage and our partnership were fundamental for the truth to prevail. Coming up with the plan to unmask Jason during the company's annual conference was a painstaking process and required a combination of courage, intelligence, and collaboration. Rachel and I knew we could leave no room for doubt. It was crucial that every detail was executed with precision to ensure the truth was finally revealed. "We have to think about every possibility, every reaction he might have," Rachel said as we reviewed the emails and documents we had obtained with the help of the IT people. "We can't leave any opening for him to escape." I nodded. "We need to make sure we have everything at hand. If something goes wrong, we could end up being discredited and it will go unpunished." We spent several nights working late, putting together a presentation that clearly showed all the evidence we had gathered. From the emails where Jason manipulated data to the conversation logs that proved the innovative idea was mine, each element was carefully entered in chronological order. "Do you think we should start with the emails or the conversation logs?" I asked, looking at Rachel. She pondered for a moment before responding. "I think starting with the conversation logs might be more impactful. It shows that he knew exactly what he was doing from the beginning." I agreed again. "Right. And then we move on to the emails, which corroborate the story and show the sequence of events. Furthermore, we thought about how we would deal with the audience's reaction. We knew Jason had his supporters, including some influential executives. We needed to be prepared for any type of resistance. "We need a plan B in case someone tries to interrupt or discredit us," Rachel suggested. "Maybe we can include a list of witnesses, people who were also harmed by him." This idea was brilliant. We began to include short testimonies from other colleagues who had been harmed by Jason in the past. This would not only strengthen our case, but also show that their unethical behavior was an ongoing practice. The day before the conference, Rachel and I were exhausted but confident. We had everything prepared, the presentation was impeccable, the documents were organized, and the witnesses were ready to speak if necessary. "We're ready," Rachel said, closing her laptop. "Tomorrow, the truth will prevail." I took a deep breath, feeling a mix of nervousness and determination. "Yes, we're ready. Let's do this." On the day of the conference, the tension was palpable. Jason was beaming, clearly confident that he would shine with his work. As he prepared to take the stage, Rachel and I checked our supplies one last time. "It's all here," Rachel said, holding up a folder full of documents. "There's no way he's getting out of this." I nodded, trying to calm my nerves. "Let's do this." When Jason took the stage and started speaking, I felt a knot form in my stomach. He spoke so confidently about the idea he had stolen, as if he truly believed it was his. It was revolting. Finally, the moment has come. I got up and walked towards the stage, feeling all the eyes in the room turn to me. "Sorry to interrupt, Jason, but I think the company needs to know the truth about this idea." Jason turned pale and tried to interrupt me. "Lauren, what are you doing?" I ignored his attempted interjection and continued. "I have incontrovertible proof here that this idea, which you are presenting as yours, is in fact mine. And that's not all. You have a history of unethical behavior that needs to be revealed." The silence in the room was deafening as I began to present documents and emails. Rachel was by my side, ready to support me. With each piece of evidence presented, Jason's expression changed from confidence to despair. "You manipulated data, stole ideas, and harmed several colleagues," I continued, showing the witness statements. "It's time for this to stop." When I finished, the room erupted in murmurs. Jason's humiliation was evident, but I felt a sense of justice finally being served. Rachel and I had done it, the truth was finally out in the open. On the day of the conference, the tension was palpable. From the moment I woke up, I felt a mix of anxiety and determination. I knew that would be the day the truth finally came out. Jason was confident, perhaps even more so than usual. He walked around the room with a smug smile, greeting colleagues and exchanging friendly words with executives. For him, that was his moment to shine, to receive credit for a job that wasn't his. Rachel and I met in a private room to do the final check of the evidence. Your support has been invaluable throughout this process. She had brought a folder full of documents that corroborated our findings. I, in turn, had a pen drive with emails and messages that I managed to recover with the help of the IT team. Lauren, everything is here. We have all the proof we need, Rachel said, holding my hand reassuringly. Thank you, Rachel. I don't know what I would do without your help, I replied, feeling a rush of gratitude. She smiled. You would do the same for me. And besides, it's time for Jason to pay for everything he's done. When the moment arrived, Jason took the stage with unwavering confidence. He began the presentation with a speech about innovation and teamwork, ironically highlighting the importance of ethics in the corporate environment. Every word he said only increased my indignation. I exchanged a quick glance with Rachel, who nodded at me, indicating that everything was ready. I took a deep breath and stood up from my seat, walking towards the stage. With each step, I felt my heart beat faster, but my determination was greater than any fear. Sorry, Jason, but I have to interrupt, he said, taking the microphone. The room fell silent, all eyes on us. Jason looked confused and angry. What are you doing, Lauren? He asked, trying to maintain his composure. I'm doing what I should have done a long time ago. I'm here to expose the truth, I replied firmly. With a click of the remote, the first piece of evidence appeared on the giant screen behind me, an email from Jason to me, discussing the details of the project he now claimed as his own. This is just the beginning. Here is all the proof that this idea is not yours, but mine, I continued, displaying a series of documents and messages that detailed the original development of the project. The room was completely silent, each slide I showed increased the tension. Jason tried to intervene, but each attempt was easily refuted by the evidence I presented. Furthermore, I continued, Jason has a history of unethical behavior. Here are records of data manipulations on previous projects, something that harmed not only our colleagues but also the integrity of our company. Rachel joined me on stage, bringing more documents. I was also one of the victims of Jason's tactics. He stole ideas from me and other colleagues. It's time for this to end. Jason's humiliation was evident. He was pale, speechless, as the executives and colleagues absorbed every fragment of the truth we were exposing. One of the most influential executives, who had always supported Jason, stood up and admitted that he knew about the unethical practices but had kept silent. I knew, but I kept quiet for personal reasons. I apologized to everyone, he said, visibly embarrassed. That was the breaking point. Other employees began speaking out, sharing their own experiences with Jason. The pressure was unbearable and finally the necessary actions were taken. Jason was fired and his reputation destroyed. The complicit executive was also removed. As for me, I received the recognition I deserved. I was promoted and my project was finally assigned to me. The company initiated a review of internal policies to protect the intellectual integrity of employees. The truth prevailed, and I felt stronger and more determined than ever to continue innovating and upholding work ethics. During Jason's presentation, I knew this was the moment I had been waiting for and meticulously planned for. The room was filled with executives, colleagues, and industry professionals. Jason was center stage, with a confident smile, ready to shine with my idea. I could feel the tension in the air as he began to explain the concepts I had worked so hard to develop. Heart pounding, I looked at Rachel, who was sitting next to me. She gave me a slight nod, a sign of support and encouragement. I took a deep breath and, with determination, got up from the chair. As I walked toward the stage, I felt the eyes of everyone in the room turn to me. Jason, surprised by my interruption, stopped talking and looked at me with an expression of confusion. Sorry to interrupt, Jason, I began, my voice firm. but there is something very important that everyone here needs to know." Jason tried to maintain his composure, but I could see the panic beginning to appear in his eyes. "Lauren, I'm in the middle of a presentation," he said, trying to maintain control of the situation. "Maybe we can discuss this later." "I think now is the perfect time," I replied, turning to the audience. "What Jason is presenting here today is not his work. It is mine." A murmur of surprise ran through the room. Jason tried to interrupt, but I continued, not giving him space to regain control. "I have irrefutable evidence that the idea Jason is presenting was stolen from me. Not only that, but I also have evidence of a pattern of unethical behavior on his part in previous projects." I signaled Rachel, who promptly began displaying the documents and emails we had collected. Evidence appeared on screens around the room, clearly showing conversations and manipulations that Jason had done. "These emails," I continued, pointing to the screen, "clearly show that the idea was discussed between us and that Jason presented it as his own. Furthermore, there are records of data manipulations in other projects, which prove a pattern of dishonesty." The room was in absolute silence. Jason, visibly shaken, tried to defend himself. "That's a misunderstanding," he said, his voice shaking. "Lauren, you're confusing things." "I'm not confusing anything," I replied firmly. "And I'm not alone in this. Other people at this company have also fallen victim to your tactics." Rachel stood up, joining me on stage. "I was also Jason's victim," she declared. "He stole an idea from me in the past, and I was silent. But not anymore." The impact of our words was undeniable. One of the executives, known to be one of Jason's biggest supporters, slowly stood up. "I knew of Jason's unethical practices," he admitted, his voice heavy with guilt. "But I remained silent for personal reasons." The room erupted in murmurs. Other employees began to stand up, sharing their own experiences. The truth was finally coming out. "This can't go on like this," I declared, looking at the executive. "The integrity of this company is at stake." The reaction was quick and decisive. The executive was confronted by other employees and, faced with pressure, announced his resignation. Jason, completely defeated, was informed of his dismissal on the spot. As I walked off the stage, I felt a mixture of relief and triumph. My courage had inspired others to speak out, and justice prevailed. I was later recognized for my work and promoted, ensuring that the intellectual integrity of all employees was protected in the future. That conference not only exposed internal corruption, but also solidified my position as a fair and innovative leader. I left there with the certainty that I had done the right thing, and that justice had finally been done. As I walked onto the stage, I felt my heart beating faster than ever. The room was full of executives, colleagues, and other employees, all with their eyes fixed on Jason as he presented my idea as if it were his own. I knew this was the decisive moment. It was now or never. "Excuse me, Jason," I interrupted his presentation, my voice steady despite my nervousness. "I need to say something very important." The room was completely silent. Jason looked at me, visibly angry and surprised. "Lauren, what are you doing? Can't you see I'm in the middle of a presentation?" "I see, Jason," I replied, remaining calm. "And that's exactly why I'm here. Because this presentation shouldn't be coming from you." I pulled a flash drive from my pocket and connected it to the laptop, projecting a set of emails and documents onto the screen. "These are the records of our conversations, where I shared in detail the innovative idea you are presenting. Here is proof that this idea is mine." The tension in the room was palpable. Jason tried to intervene. "This is crazy, Lauren. You're delusional." "No, Jason. I'm not delusional," I continued, with more conviction. "And that's not all. These documents also show his pattern of unethical behavior on previous projects, manipulating data and stealing ideas from other colleagues." Rachel, who was sitting in the audience, stood up. "I can confirm that. Jason stole an idea from me in the past and has always used devious tactics to stand out." Jason's humiliation was evident. He was speechless, his face red with embarrassment and anger. The room was dead silent as I laid out every detail, every incontrovertible proof of his behavior. "Jason, do you have anything to say?" I asked, knowing he was cornered. He mumbled a few words, but nothing he could defend himself against. The truth was clear and everyone there knew it. Suddenly, one of the company's most influential executives, Mr. Thompson, stood up. He was always a defender of Jason, and his expression was serious. "I have something to confess," he said, his voice carrying weight. The room turned its attention to Mr. Thompson. I knew of Jason's unethical practices and chose to remain silent for personal reasons. I thought he could change, that these behaviors were sporadic, and that his technical skill compensated for his ethical failings. I was wrong. Lauren wasted no time. "Mr. Thompson, your silence has allowed this behavior to continue and harm many of us. This is unacceptable." Other employees began to speak out, confirming what Rachel and I had revealed. The pressure on Mr. Thompson and Jason increased by the second. The room was filled with murmurs of disapproval and indignation. The company's CEO, who until then had observed in silence, took the floor. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is a pivotal moment for our company. Integrity and ethics are fundamental pillars of our organization, and today we saw a serious violation of these principles. Jason, you are terminated immediately. Mr. Thompson, your conduct is as well intolerable, and it is clear that we need a complete overhaul of our leadership." The room erupted in murmurs and surprised expressions. Jason left crestfallen, his reputation in ruins, while Mr. Thompson followed close behind, visibly shaken. I was then called to the stage by the CEO. "Lauren, your courage in exposing the truth is admirable. In recognition of your work and integrity, we are promoting you to a leadership role. We need people like you to guide this company forward." The room applauded, and I felt a wave of relief and satisfaction. Finally, justice had been served. It was clear that my fight was not in vain, and that I now had the opportunity to ensure that all employees were protected and respected. As I left the stage, Rachel came over and hugged me. "You did it, Lauren. You really did." "I didn't do it alone," I replied, smiling. "We had the courage to come together and fight for what's right. And that made all the difference." When coworker Jason Miller stole Lauren Adams' innovative idea and presented it as his own, Lauren was determined to get justice. Armed with incontrovertible proof, she waited until the company's annual conference, where Jason planned to shine with his work. At the climax of the reveal, the tension in the room was palpable. The eyes of executives and coworkers were fixed on me as I publicly exposed Jason. The silence was so thick that I could hear the heavy breathing of some in the audience. It was then that something unexpected happened. One of the company's most influential executives, Mr. Robert Collins, slowly stood up. He had always been one of Jason's biggest supporters, which made his attitude even more intriguing. "Mr. Collins, do you have anything to say?" I asked, trying to maintain my composure despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. He took a deep breath before starting to speak. "Lauren, I need to admit something. I've always known about Jason's unethical practices. From the beginning, I realized he was manipulating data and taking credit for ideas that weren't his. But I remained silent for personal reasons." The room erupted in murmurs. The shock was evident on everyone's faces, including mine. "Why, Mr. Collins? Why didn't you say anything?" I questioned, my voice shaking with indignation. He looked at the floor, visibly embarrassed. "Jason is my nephew. I wanted to protect him, to believe that he could change and redeem himself. But clearly, I was wrong. And that action of mine was a mistake that hurt everyone here." Rachel, who was next to me, couldn't contain her indignation. "So, to protect a family member, you allowed him to continue to harm other people's careers? That's unacceptable." Other employees began to speak out. I too was a victim of Jason's manipulations. "He destroyed my project last year." The voices overlapped, creating a chorus of accusations. "This needs to stop now," said the company's CEO, who was watching everything closely. "Mr. Collins, your attitude is equally unacceptable. As leaders, we have a responsibility to protect the integrity of our team, regardless of personal ties. Your conduct cannot be tolerated." With a look of defeat, Collins nodded. "I understand. I accept the consequences of my actions." The CEO continued. "Jason, you are fired, effective immediately. And Mr. Collins, your termination will also be processed. It's time we clean up this company and ensure it operates under ethical principles." Jason was pale, not saying a word, while Collins just shook his head, accepting his fate. Justice was finally being served. After the tumultuous meeting, the CEO turned to me. "Lauren, I owe you an apology. You showed immense courage in bringing all of this to light. Your integrity will not go unnoticed. Starting today, you will be promoted to head of research and development. Your idea will be implemented under your leadership." I couldn't believe it. "Thank you, sir. I only did what I thought was right." The CEO smiled. "And that's exactly what we need in our leadership. We will also implement new policies to protect the intellectual property of our employees. Your courage will not be in vain." Rachel hugged me, excited. "You did it, Lauren. You got justice not just for you, but for all of us." I smiled, feeling a weight lifted from my shoulders. "Yes, Rachel. We did it together." From that day on, the company began a transformation. Policies were revised, ensuring that all employees had their ideas protected. I, now promoted, have committed to leading with integrity and fairness, inspiring my team to follow the same path. Justice prevailed, and my determination not only saved my career, but also changed the course of the entire company.